Welcome back to another episode of the 700 Pelham Road podcast. My name is Caleb Williams. I'm alongside Jalen Cooper for episode 8 after a 2-week hiatus from recording. Jalen, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, doing good. It's been a pretty easy day today. Can't ever complain about having a pretty simple day.
Yeah, no kidding. Mondays with no work. That's a big day for us.
Oh yeah, you know it. Especially getting a nice chance to kick back after a loaded weekend of college football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a lot of great games this last weekend. Surprisingly, the game I thought was going to get ugly the most ended up being the best with Auburn Ole Miss.
Oh yeah, honestly, outside of a few questionable OC play calls, that was probably one of the better games this weekend. Um,
A few is was rather kind.
yeah, they had that game. And then all of a sudden they just stopped doing what was working, and it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it'd be like that though. So 2 weeks off of recording, just because the weekday schedules really messed us up. Um, so there's a lot to talk about for Jacksonville State. So I guess we might as well go ahead and start with the Liberty game.
Mm.
Um, uh, I don't know, Jalen. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, honestly, if we look at performance top to bottom, you honestly couldn't have asked for much more. 17-13, we were down 17-13 going into the fourth. And considering losing, I guess, QB1A and QB1B back to back, and having to throw in a redshirt freshman who had never had any live game snaps against arguably the best team on our schedule outside of possibly South Carolina, but I don't even think they're the best team on our schedule this year. Um, but yeah, throwing a redshirt freshman in to that, it, it's a tough task, especially because, their defense is not one that you can just carve up and down the field easily. Um, but I mean, he did a good job for being thrown in there on such short notice. The next man up mentality was surely in effect, and he did what he could do. But like I said, being a redshirt freshman thrown into the middle of that game, not expecting at all to play, that's a hard situation.
Yeah, shout out to Ashton because all preseason, really the first few weeks, we heard that Tayshawn Smoot was going to be that number 3 guy. And so I was shocked to see Ashton come in, but I mean, he, like you said, he handled it about as well as he could for a guy who literally has never played a snap at the collegiate level. Um, and you get thrown in against the best team of the conference and a potential, you know, New York Six participant, depending on what happens at Air Force in Tulane. Um, I mean, you couldn't have asked for much more than for him to, just lay it out on the field, and he did. I mean, it just right now, at that point, it just came down to we're your number 3 guy, but yeah, I mean, credit to him because he really could have shrunk and he didn't. Um, and so that gives us some thoughts for the next couple of years as we see the roster turnover. Look forward to seeing how he plays.
Yeah. Um, I guess the only other thing I really have to say about that game is, going back and looking at some of the team's stats. I get we play a very up-tempo offense, but when time of possession is 40-20 to Liberty, you can't give that offense the ball for that long um, because they're just going to wear you down, and that's what happened. Our defense was good for the first 3 quarters of the game, and then only being able to sit on the sideline for 2 minutes max, it wears on you, and eventually you're just gonna break down. Um, and that's what happened. Them having to be on the field 40 minutes of a 60-minute game just is never ideal.
No, it's not. Um, I mean, that game was just kind of the stereotypical good game of this year. Is the offense. No, it's no fault of the coaches, really, even the players. It's just adjusting to the new teams we're playing. But offense didn't do much, and the defense could only hold on for so long. And that works against an Eastern Michigan or a UTEP. It doesn't work very well against Liberty. So
No, not at all. Um, and maybe a lot of it had to do with both of our QB1s going down. Um, I don't know how much the game plan had to change because I don't know how much um, of the playbook Fry was comfortable with in game action. So, and especially with him playing, I think he played the entire second half. Um, with him having to play so much and not knowing what the playbook was for him, maybe that had a lot to do with it, and we just had to ride with what we got and had to see what happened. But yeah, it that disparity just isn't going to work for a team like Liberty.
yeah, look, Liberty, they probably go undefeated this year. I think FPI gives them a 75+% chance to win every game after this Western Kentucky game. And even then, I think they're in the 60s for this game. So odds
Yeah,
are Liberty sitting there 12-0 conference championship. Look, if our one conference loss this year ends up being to Liberty, um, I think we're in pretty good shape.
yeah. If our like you said, if our one conference loss is Liberty, especially in year one in this conference when I think the conference preseason poll had a seventh, only ahead of Sam Houston and I believe it was FIU. Um, then yeah, I'll take it if we get out of here with one conference loss. Because Liberty is just one of those teams where if they beat you, it's almost like there's nothing you can really do as far as like yeah, you can be upset that you lost because you always want to win, but it's not an embarrassing loss by any means.
No, look, I mean, preseason, that was the one game I kind of looked, besides South Carolina, that was the one game I looked at and said, yeah, we probably lose that game. And it has nothing to do with us. It's everything to do with Liberty's good football team. So, I'm nothing to be ashamed about it at all because, I mean, look, the guys fought. It just came down to not having the legs at the moment.
Yeah, and I believe in any other year going forward, we'd be in the driver's seat to have a rematch, and I think we could beat them in said rematch. But being in year two of the transition and not being eligible for the conference championship, get we don't get that pleasure of looking forward to a rematch. But I'm definitely looking forward to that game next year up in Virginia.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a fun atmosphere.
I'm definitely going to try and see if I can somehow, some way, make it to that game.
Yeah, that might, depending on what our schedule is, that might have to be our road trip for the year.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that one lands on the weekend. Although we don't have many weekend conference slots, I'm just hoping we get lucky and that one lands on the weekend.
Yeah, it can be September or November. If it's October, we probably ain't making that trip.
Nah.
But look, it is what it is. I mean, took an L, and I think you'd be jaded if you went in thinking that we were going to win that game by multiple scores, anyways. But then you like you said, lose Zion, lose Logan, and that I mean that's the ball game. So, but it is what it is. Move on, and of course we had another game about a week later that ended up going a lot better.
Oh yeah. I will say one of the bright sides to the Liberty game is we finally got a whiteout. Fans have been begging for a whiteout or a blackout for the longest, and it seems like the athletic department, rightfully so, waited for the biggest game of the year to finally break out not only the white helmets, but bringing back the retro logo on the white helmets.
Yeah, man, that I hate that we wore them and then got beat by two tutties, but at the same time, it's going to come back, and I bet you we win the next one.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I even though we lost, I still love it because a lot of our older JSU fans can remember the Digicamo alternate unis, and those are those are something else. So to go from that
Oh
digital
man,
camo to this whiteout, especially with the retro logo, it was so clean.
man, what a fever dream of a uniform that was.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, honestly, this retro throwback logo is everybody's not only loving it online. I mean, both of us we went to get personalized before the game. The shirts with the logo on it, the hats, the long sleeve shirts, the sweatshirts, they were all flying off the shelves before the game that day, and they had just gotten in. I think like 6 hours before kickoff. So I mean, everybody's loving it. I know the people over at Get Personalized said all of that merch is here to stay. So if you didn't get a chance to grab it, hey, it'll be here for a while. You definitely want to go grab it because it's nice.
So I will say, you're talking about Get Personalized and what they're putting out. We have seen rumors they may be putting out some striped overalls.
Oh, dude, if they go through and pull out the striped overalls, one, I hope somehow they get them in before November 4th. But two, I'm dropping the $65 to go grab a pair. I don't care.
Yeah, I think I might be dropping that money too. It's tough to turn down that opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping. I'm sure they won't, but I'm just really hoping they drop before November 4th because being able to be obnoxious in Williams-Brice Stadium in those overalls would be fun. At the very least, I hope they drop before alumni reunion on November 18th.
Man, if we show up to reunion dressed like that, it's going to be another level.
Oh yeah, but I mean, as always, if you ever need game day gear, get personalized, and they're not paying us to say this.
Yeah,
Um,
they aren't. This
they
no free shout outs, but this is a free shout out.
they just have always taken great care of not only us but all JSU fans and especially the Southerners. We know every fall they get absolutely bombarded with Southerners jackets orders and arena jerseys and drum major jerseys and arena jackets. So, like, yeah, a huge shout out to them. They make sure everybody's well taken care of, and they make sure to keep Gamecock Nation looking good on game days.
Yeah, so stop by and Get Personalized. This is not an ad, but stop by and Get Personalized anyway. So, all right. Well, I guess let's talk about this Western Kentucky game. Um, so, first of all, um, Western Kentucky fans, we love you. Promise we do. But this is what y'all get for complaining about the conference and acting like y'all are going to be above everyone else. You lost a game to a first year FBS team, so deal with it.
Oh yeah. Um, Obviously there were some Liberty fans that were like, I wish we had gotten an invite from Sunbelt, but I haven't seen. And I'm not saying all of them because we have some really chill Western Kentucky fans over on the Twitter page, but there were definitely some that don't necessarily interact with us that I saw that were just obnoxious about this conference is so beneath us, and this is such an easy conference, and we're going to go undefeated, and we're going to show the Sun Belt why they should be sorry they didn't invite us, this and that, and I didn't see that last week.
No, I mean that's the case of a team that I don't. It's not on the team. I mean they. I mean you play the game that's put in front of you. Um, but we all saw on Twitter fans, and it's not all like you said. It's not all Western Kentucky fans, but a large portion of the Western Kentucky fan base talking about how they were above the Conference USA, how they're a Sun Belt team or even potentially an American Conference team. Um, And as we've seen, look, Western Kentucky is in third place in the conference right now. Um,
And in danger of slipping more.
yeah, they'll play Liberty this week, and if I'm correct, they could drop to as low as fourth, depending on how things go.
Yeah, I think they could drop as low as fourth or fifth, but by the time the season is done and over with, I think they could finish as low as like fourth or fifth.
Which, look, I'll be honest, I thought Western Kentucky was either going to win this conference or finish second, and there's no guarantee that they even make the conference championship game. So credit to the conference as a whole being a lot more even than I thought it would. I really thought it was going to be a top heavy conference. And I mean, we're looking at JSU in year one of the FBS. You know, we might run her up in year one. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, Liberty could possibly lose this week, and then win out. And in any other year, you're looking at a two-way tie. Obviously, with them getting the tiebreaker, you're looking at a two-way tie, a top Conference USA. Between a first-year team and well, I guess Liberty is also first year in CUSA, but they've been around FBS a little bit longer. But yeah, I mean the way the standings are shaking out, it's definitely a little bit surprising up to this point, especially considering how some of the CUSA teams started the season.
Yeah. And I'll say this: there are a lot of teams in the conference that I actually thought were going to be better. I thought Eastern Michigan was going to be better. I thought Sam Houston would be better. I thought Western Kentucky, like I said, would be better. And I thought teams like Louisiana Tech and even FIU would be better. And as a whole, it just feels like the conference, I don't want to say has gone down, but it just feels like as a whole, there's been a lot more parity. So you've just seen a lot more teams lose games that you wouldn't think they would.
Yeah. Sam Houston being winless so far this season is just. Obviously, from our perspective, I love that they didn't beat us, but it's just kind of
It's shocking.
depressing if you're a Sam Houston fan, because they've had several games now where they were in the driver's seat up through the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then some way somehow everything just breaks down, and what can go wrong does go wrong for them. And either they lose in overtime or on a last second score from the opposing team, or right there with 1 or 2 minutes left, which really sucks. Going in your first year, having been a fairly dominant team in the FCS, and coming into what is considered the weakest Group of Five conference, and then just not being able to come away with a win so far. And where they're sitting at now, they don't even have a chance to be possibly considered for a bowl game because they've already lost 7. Not that it was automatic this year anyway, because they're in the same position we are, but to just already be looking at a losing season, I know that has to hurt.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you what though. We did that podcast preseason. I think we both. I don't know about you. I think I predicted 5-7, and you maybe 6-6.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And I was doing the math. We have a real chance. Obviously, want to win 9 games. If we go into South Carolina, and I'm not saying we're going to beat South Carolina. I'm not saying that. But let's say we go beat South Carolina and we finish the season 5-0. We go 10-2.
Which would be insane. And I don't care what anybody would say about us playing in CUSA and being in a weaker conference. The thing is, if we were to come in year one and go 10-2 over teams that have been FBS for a good little bit, no matter what, no matter if it's a weaker conference or not, 10-2 in year one against established FBS schools is insanely impressive. yes, it's not the same as James Madison going 8-3 in the Sun Belt last year because the Sun Belt is its own different beast. Um, but 10-2, first year FBS, like I said, against established schools, it would be insane, and nobody could take anything away from that, no matter how hard they tried.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, all right. Well, I guess talking about the Western Kentucky game, I really only have one point to hit. Besides, obviously, it was a huge win for the program. Gets us to 5-2 on the year. No, 6-2.
I was about to say,
I did that math wrong. 6-2. Gets us 6-2. We only have one loss in conference, and we're going to be favored in our last three conference games. My only real comment is what is going on with Zion at quarterback.
dude, I don't know. Maybe it's like that syndrome or disease where if you experience trauma enough, you suddenly wake up and you're just the best person ever. Maybe the Liberty game, they hit him so hard that he woke up and he was like, nobody can stop me. Um, Even if you slam my head into the turf, I don't feel anything. Um, I'm gonna just get back up and keep going because there were definitely some hits and some tackles in the Western Kentucky game where not only us, but I saw a couple of fans on Twitter just being like, that dude does not look like he should be taking any more hits to the head or slamming his head on the turf anymore. So maybe whatever happened in that Liberty game just gave him superhuman strength, and he's just like, yeah, I don't feel anything. What was that?
Yeah, I will say we had an unsubstantiated report that he may have thrown up at the game. Um, that was my first. That was kind of the one that popped the red flag to me. I didn't think he'd play the entire second half after that, and yet he comes in and just again goes nuts. I mean, I was doing the math. He had 146 on the ground, I think, on his own, another 220 through the air, and all that with probably 8 kinds of concussions over the last 2 weeks. Um, hey, look, this is only mostly a joke, but if that's what it takes for him to play well, maybe we should hit him in the head with a hammer before every game.
Dog, I don't know. I mean, for him, I hate that it's somewhat of a wasted season if we don't get a bowl game this year. Um, but to be going out like this, you kind of can't be upset if you're him, especially with all the injuries and the stuff that he's had to deal with, and the last coaching staff, which while he was here was not the best. Um, to be able to go out there one more year after getting that waiver, you can tell he's not going to let anything stop him. He's going to play through, whatever he's medically cleared to play through. But I mean, yeah, I don't know what it was. Like I said, maybe he just got hit hard enough to where he just doesn't feel anything anymore. Because the average person with some of those hits he took in that game, they would have threw in the towel after hit one or two and been done.
Yeah, for sure. And man, even late in the game when they're just trying to run the clock down, he took a snap and they were just trying to center it, and he got slammed against the ground even then. I'm like, he cannot find a way to avoid hits. It's a lot like Jaden Daniels a few weeks ago when every week he was getting hit. He was getting hit hard every week, like it was Vontez Perfect coming after him. Um, but man, I don't know. Obviously, we'll see this week. My only question is whether or not he actually plays. Um, I'm sure the biggest concern is that we're facing a really good Western Kentucky team. Um, I really am wondering, does he actually play this week? And do we see Logan, or do we see Ashton Fry or Tayshawn, or does Zion actually play?
Honestly, who knows? The way this season has gone with the quarterback room, we could walk out on the field come Wednesday, and there was a fifth guy that nobody even knew about. That Rich Rod's like, yeah, this dude's ready. I like what I saw at practice this week. We're going to throw him in there. The man is crazy, but he knows what works.
Yeah, the dude is an absolute psychopath of a coach, and I love it. So,
I mean, if it wasn't for him, I don't know if the cardiac Cox would exist this season. Because
no, not at all.
Because we have had some massive turnarounds, which including this game, maybe not as massive of a turnaround, but the first half of the Western Kentucky game and the second half of the Western Kentucky game, yet again, two totally different teams showed up.
Yep. I mean, even you look at Liberty, they actually came out of the half playing pretty well, but two straight drives we lost our best QBs. So you really can't even blame that on Rich Rod. It's just the matter. It's just how the circumstance goes. But yeah, it seems like every game the second half adjustments have been better and better every week. Still got to give credit to Zach Alley. Man, what a defensive coordinator.
Dude, our defense is absolutely insane. Just some of the plays they're able to make. That defensive line just making the quarterback's life complete hell from the first snap all the way until the clock's hit 000. I'm gonna say it right now. I don't think Zach Alley stays past this year. Obviously, who knows? Maybe he's feeling Jacksonville. Maybe he's feeling Jacksonville State, and he rides it out a little bit longer. But I would not blame that man because I know there are some P5 schools that are going to come calling and they're going to bring, every bit of money they can and just drop it on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope they do too because, look, I haven't seen a defense this good at JSU since 2015. I mean, really, I haven't. Even teams like 2019, 2020 with Nicario Harper, we weren't making this many plays.
No. It seems like every week, whenever our offense is kind of stalling out, our defense is right there, keeping us alive, keeping us going. And like I said, a lot of that is because of Zach Alley, and the plays and the schemes that he's drawing up. But I can't complain if he leaves. I just can't. It would suck, but the man has proven that he is legit.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Well, I guess next up, I guess we got to talk about the Brett McMurphy soft bomb that we got this morning on bowl projections.
Well, before that, obviously, we got the win over Western Kentucky, but the reason we did.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget
AK-47, Mr. Automatic. The man slipped. He lost his footing on his plant leg and still somehow made a 41-yarder. I don't know if people understand just how hard it is to completely slip on your plant leg and still make a 41-yard field goal.
When I used to kick in high school, the longest I ever hit was 46, and it took everything I had. So for him to have basically no kinetic energy in his body, and still hit from 41, and it looked like it was good from 5 or 6 yards still.
Yeah, he could have hit a 45-yarder on that.
I mean, that's pretty impressive because, again, he had nothing. I mean, it's like when you let a spring loose and now there's nothing left in it. He lost all energy in his body, and he still had enough to get it there. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and as we saw, he would have had the chance to run it back because there was an offsides penalty, which would have made it a 36 and would have made it even that much more automatic for him. But we didn't even need the flag. That man really just somehow, some way made the 41-yarder while slipping, and just that was a good one. I mean, pretty much everybody on Twitter was losing their minds. We got a minute long shout out from Pat McAfee, because that man, I mean, he's a punter, but he knows the mechanics of kicking very well, and he couldn't understand it either.
Yeah. Look, Pat McAfee, that's a Rich Rod man. You know he's going to keep riding for us. Um, but a minute long video on Twitter, 5 minutes after the game ends. I mean, I think we were talking after the game. We are watching our program become a national brand almost
Oh
overnight,
yeah,
and it's
it
mostly because of Pat McAfee.
yeah, it's insane. It's a mix of the the football team being the Cardiac Cocks, us having midweek football where nobody else is watching any other games, and then the icing on the cake is Pat McAfee, who has multinational reach, constantly tweeting about us and giving us shout outs on College Game Day, on the Pat McAfee show. It makes people want to tune in. And as Rich Rod said after one of our comebacks, I can't remember which one, are you not entertained? Because pretty much every game you tune into for JSU, it's going to be a fun, exciting football game from start to finish.
Yep. I mean, now more often than not, sometimes maybe you just want to turn it on around 9 o'clock, let it get to the second half. But um, man, second half Cox, that is a conference championship winning team.
Yeah. Now we just got to find some way, somehow, to get Pat McAfee down to Jacksonville. I know his show follows College Game Day. They do the show whatever city College Game Day is in. I just need him some way, somehow, to get to Jacksonville for a game, or just show up to one of our games in general. Yeah, I'd love to see Pat McAfee in a bowl game if we do get one.
I'd love it. I don't know what it's going to take. It may take Rich Rod picking up the phone, but it's got to happen.
Yeah. But before we get to talking about said bowl game, Alan Karajic, AK-47, and Zion both got Conference Player of the Week, Special Team, and Offensive Player of the Week, and yet another kind of just punching them out to all the doubters and CUSA and in general. We just keep racking up these Conference Player of the Week awards, week in and week out. It just goes to show, no matter if you're a year one team or a year 25 team in the FBS, what matters is, can your players show up? And we've proven time and time again that our players are showing up.
Yep, and I think one of the things is it feels like I don't know if it's not a talent thing. I'm not saying that Zion Webb is the most talented quarterback in the conference, um, but he's probably one of the grimiest players in the conference. I mean, he as we saw this last game when he probably took 4 hits to the head that he really didn't need to, and he still kept playing. He just doesn't give up. And that's kind of what you need when you've got a talent gap. Is you need guys who've got a lot more fight than the guys across the line.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that also is fueled by coaching, because not to throw names out there or anything, but our last coaching staff just, it seemed like when the guys wanted to give up, they just let them give up. And when it comes to this coaching staff, I don't even know if the guys have that give up mentality, because from day one, Rich Rod walked in there and he kind of, I mean, not kind of, you can see he scared some guys off, because as I have seen in a lot of player interviews from day one, he came in and raised the bar and, reset the standards super high. So there was no even coming in with the semblance of having a give up mentality. Um, so I think a lot of credit, goes to him and his coaching staff, just because like I said, we've seen from prior coaches that it's not always a given whether you have the talent or not.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's kind of the one thing about a Rich Rod coach team is you're really not allowed to be on his teams if you don't have that 60-minute mentality. I hate to quote a certain former Auburn football coach who shall not be named, but it takes a 4th and 1 mentality. It takes being willing to line up and know that you're going to physically dominate the guy across from you, even if they're better than you. So,
Yeah, but I mean, I love it. We, as a fan base, we just had to deal with a lot of bullcrap, for lack of a better term, of just knowing we had the talent to be better. We should have been, making deep playoff runs and even getting, to the national championship in the FCS, more than we were, more than the one season. Um, and to now finally have a coach where, we're going to be completely realistic and transparent. We're not shooting for national championship game. Not in the conference we're in, not scheduling the non-conference opponents that we are, but just coming in and you know pretty much just we're going to play a bowl game. That seems like that's the mentality. We're gonna win the conference. We're gonna play a bowl game, and it's nice to see that they're not taking, you know, they're not taking crap.
no, not one bit. All right. Well, speaking of bowl games, we had a little bit of a news bomb this morning from I believe it was Brett McMurphy, right?
Yep, Brett McMurphy this morning, and well, not this morning. We'll say earlier this afternoon. He basically predicted that he only sees right now 78 fully eligible college football teams being bowl eligible come season's end, which leaves 4 spots. And as of right now, there are 2 teams that are not automatically eligible, us and James Madison, that would fill in those first 2 spots. And he currently has us predicted to play against South Alabama. Can't remember the exact name of the bowl. Let me pull it up right here.
I know it's in Mobile, but I don't remember the name.
The 68 Ventures Bowl in Mobile on December 23rd. So yeah, I mean, should that trend keep up? And I've seen some other predictions that have even less teams. I've seen some predictions that have said 72 to 74 teams making it. So I mean, as of right now, it's looking real bright that us and James Madison will get our shot to play past week 12.
Yeah, man. And I'll tell you what, if we were to get put into a bowl game, within, that distance of Jacksonville, JSU fans will travel. They'll
Oh
travel for
yeah,
that first bowl game. I know I'll be there. Um, I don't really care what day it is. I'll take the 2 days off and I'll go.
I we say driving distance, and I've seen some people that have softly predicted the Camellia Bowl. And as great of an accomplishment as making a bowl game is, I am praying to the football gods. I will sacrifice whatever I have to sacrifice that we do not end up back in Montgomery, um, because JSU fans have had to sit in that stadium for way too many games in the FCS kickoff when it seemed like they loved to just plug us in there because we were right down the road. Obviously, our fans will still travel, and we'll still show up and show out. But I am hoping and praying. I would rather get the Birmingham Bowl and being protective than have to drive to Montgomery again.
Man, and I'll tell you what, um, having gone to Auburn High School, I played 2 to 3 games a year in that stadium. Um, so I've probably had close to 15 games in Crampton Bowl, and like you said, I think enough is enough. Um, and it's rare I've been there where it's been a good experience in terms of how my team has played. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think I need a new I would love to avoid Montgomery if at all possible.
And I would especially love to avoid that stadium because even though we were the home team in every game there, they always put us on the away side, or we always elected to sit on the away side. And I know that if we were to get that bowl game, we would be the away team, and I doubt the other team would choose to sit on that side. So we'd be sitting right in the same seats we've been sitting in and year out.
Yeah, that's gonna be enough for me, dog.
Hey, but I mean, I'll take a bowl game wherever we can get it. Like we both said, would definitely prefer for it to be driving distance. Which, luckily, being in Alabama, there's a good bit of bowl games, in the Carolinas, Tennessee, Alabama itself, Louisiana, Florida. A lot of states where driving the night before or a day or two before is 100% feasible. Um, not having to worry about getting a flight. So yeah, we just kind of have to handle. I say handle business. We already have handled our business the most we can as far as the bowl game goes. Now it's just a matter of going ahead and playing out the season so that if a little bit of a higher bowl game comes available, we can get that call. Obviously, we're not looking at anything super super high, but anything to get just a little bit more national coverage.
Yeah, and I hate that we which I'm trying to remember which bowl game it was that they took away from us. Was it the Cincy Bowl?
Yeah, the Cincinnati Bowl was proposed, and initially it was looking like it was going to be granted, but the NCAA, which according to the projections right now, the NCAA rightfully said we want to make sure bowl games are only 6 wins or more teams. So they decided to shelve it for now. It wasn't a complete and total like no forever going forward, especially adding new teams coming up here soon. But it's not a new one this year. If it was, we would 100% be looking at a bowl game.
Oh yeah, no question. Because I don't know that we'd have enough conference sites to fill them up. So, but hey, it is what
But
it is. Like you said, getting a bowl game in general will be huge. As
we're
long as it's
making
not, as long as it's not the Bahamas or anything like that.
well, it can be the Bahamas because it ain't even in the Bahamas this year.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Which that game is going to a CUSA team. Um, Initially, it's probably going to be Liberty, but the fact that it's not in the Bahamas this year, I doubt they'll pick the number one team. Liberty will probably be playing in New Orleans, depending on how Tulane and Air Force shake out. But you know, we'll take the bowl game wherever. It for us, it won't be nearly as depressing as it will for our friends over at James Madison because they're looking at a season where they would 100% be fighting, right there with Air. I think they're only 2 or 3 spots back from Air Force and Tulane. They would be fighting for a spot on December 31st or January 1st.
Yeah, um, that New Orleans Bowl would be a good game to make. Obviously, not being officially bowl eligible probably means we won't go there, but still, whoever gets there, they're gonna have a grand old time.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to next year, hopefully having just as good of a season. Playing in the conference championship and looking at one of those bowls, looking at New Orleans or Bahamas. Um, I would hope and pray that we get New Orleans just because that's much more feasible and a lot easier to do. Um, but obviously, getting to play in the Bahamas would be huge for the players.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, it is what it is. Take what you get because beggars can't really be choosers.
No, we unlike the state of Virginia legislature, we understand that we agreed to the rules, and we're just going to take what we can get, um, and slide on out of here. We're not trying to sue the NCAA for a contract that we signed.
Don't you love the consequences of your own actions?
Yeah, and I mean, we despise the NCAA as a body as much as the next person, but like we said on Twitter, and like we said in the group chats, we understand, rules are rules. We actually, this is karma, as we have joked about. We benefited from the NCAA's stupid rules because Bellarmine beat us in the ASUN basketball tournament, but because they had just moved up 2 years, or that was only their second year moved up in basketball. I think is a 3-year waiting period. They weren't allowed to go to the dance. So us winning the regular season, we got thrown in there. So, and as much as we benefited, I said it was a stupid rule then. Um, and here we are again, same situation. NCAA has a stupid rule, and I get the old timey reasons, but we agreed to it. It's stupid. I hate the NCAA, but we got to ride with it.
Yeah, but like you said, it's just karma for us taking Bellarmine's spot away.
Yeah, we caught a lot of crap back then from ASUN fans and college basketball fans in general. The funny thing is, I think most people have forgotten about it by now, but we definitely have not, because I've seen a lot of JSU fans joke about this being karma. Um, but hey, all that means is we got to repeat it next year. We saw how James Madison, they went 8-3 last year when with them taking a different route. They played a full FBS slate. They went 8-3 last year, and right now they're on track to go undefeated. Hey, we can turn around next year. I don't know what our other conference slate is looking like, but we can turn around next year and go undefeated ourselves.
Yeah, we could.
But other than that, I think it's time to look forward to this week's game.
Yeah, we got
Traveling
a
down to
team that
Miami.
yeah, a little down to South Beach for a team that we're actually pretty familiar with. We played them in 2020 and 2021,
Yeah,
I believe, and won both times.
sure did. We were fully still FCS then, um, and beat them back-to-back years.
And now, albeit that was with Zarek Cooper at QB. I think both games actually.
I can't remember for sure, but I think you're right. I know he was at least the QB1 both years. I know one of those seasons he had dealt with some injury problems, but I do believe he was the quarterback for both of those games.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which year he was hurt and Zion was the starter, and if that was for that game or not. But I feel like Zarek started for it.
Probably. Either way, I mean, Zarek has seen not this team specifically because it's been some years, but he has seen that school twice now. Um, and obviously, we have a new coaching staff. I'm not sure if they have a new coaching staff, but we know we have the capability of winning. Going down there and winning. And especially looking at how we've played so far this season, I have no doubt in my mind that we can go down there and hopefully put together, a full 60 minutes and come out with a comfortable win, from start to finish.
It's about time for us to start and not take our foot off the pedal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest we've gotten to that was Eastern Michigan. Um, I just want a conference game where we go in and start to finish, no doubt in our minds, we just take care of business and you know not have to worry and call ourselves the cardiac cocks for a week.
Yeah, look, cardiac cocks are great for national TV, but they're not great for our heart health. So
Not at all. The cardiac cocks are gonna cause cardiac arrest one of these days. But I mean, looking at FIU, they're 4-4 on the season. Um, Lost to Louisiana Tech to open the season. They beat Maine, beat North Texas, beat UConn, lost pretty bad to Liberty, and then lost to New Mexico State and UTEP. Uh, and then turned around and came away with a double overtime thriller against, of course, Sam Houston.
Yeah. I Look, I think this is the week. I really do. I've said it over and over again. One of these times it's going to be right. Um, I think this is the week that we finally put together a full game. It comes down to one thing. It comes down to our QBs deciding they're not going to look like some brain dead, Siamese cats in the first half. But if we can get through that first half with some offense, I think we're in good shape.
I really need this to be the week because I want us to have some sort of momentum, something to build off of, because we're going to have a week and a half of downtime after, having that short week between, or no, not the short week, because I think we came off a bye week before we started our midweek games. Oh, no, we didn't. We had Saturday to Thursday. So after coming off, the short week heading into the October games, now we have a week and a half before South Carolina. Um, that's a lot of downtime between two games when you don't have a bye week. Um, so we really need to just build a lot of momentum, and I hope we can, like you said, finally come out in the first half firing and continue it, because the Liberty game, we came out firing in the first half and they were hot and they were, rolling, but then the quarterback injuries happened. I just want us to come out hot in the first half and sustain it and just have something to build off of and a lot to look forward to going into Columbia.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, I'm not going to go so far to say we beat South Carolina, but if we come out Wednesday night and we put together the game that we need, a lot of people are going to be asking the question: can we go into Columbia and do it?
Which is, honestly is a very valid question looking at how South Carolina has struggled this year and also looking at the history of, Jack State, especially in the recent history of going into these SEC stadiums and either coming away with the win, and not only SEC, but just, Power Five stadiums in general, and either coming away with the upset win or, putting up a fight right to the very end. Because we beat Ole Miss, should have beat Auburn. That LSU game was pretty competitive for about 2.5, 3 quarters. And then, of course, everybody remembers the Florida State game, which we played them twice. The first game we honestly should have won, and then the second game we won on the Hail Mary. Um, yeah, JSU has a very solid history of going into these Power Five stadiums and not making it an easy, cupcake win.
Yep. But look, it's going to be what it's going to be. Just got to trust Rich Rod. At the end of the day, I mean, we've played 3 conference road games. I think 2 conference road games at this point. Sam Houston and Middle Tennessee. Both games in the second half, we've come out on fire, and I'd argue that our worst football is behind us.
I really hope our worst football is behind us. Obviously, first year FBS is going to come with some growing pains, and we have seen the highs and the lows of the first year, what some people would call beginner's luck, and then what some people would call your, welcome to the FBS moments. Yeah, I would, considering, first half, second half, first half of the season compared to the second half of the season, I think we are, going to be those cardiac cocks and just go away, go out firing, and come away with hopefully, 4 out of 4 wins, but at the very least 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I mean, 3 out of the 4 puts us at 9-3, which is around 4 games better than I think everyone predicted. And look, I'm not saying that
That's
Conference
way more
USA
than
is
4
anywhere
games.
near the conference that Sun Belt is. But last year, um, James Madison went 8-3,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that this conference is as good as the Sun Belt is. But if we were to go 9-3, that puts us on the same kind of track that they are.
Yeah. 100%. Which goes back to what I was saying earlier. First year in general against established teams, 9-3 is 9-3 is 9-3. No matter what you want to say. If it was so easy, then all the schools in the conference would be, sitting looking at 9-3 right now. Fact of the matter is, they're not. Um, we got UTEP, MTSU, FIU sitting at 2-6, 2-6, and then FIU is 4-4. All are 1-3 in the conference. FIU's 1-4 in the conference. So no matter what people say, CUSA is weak, this and that. Yeah, y'all might be y'all might be sitting right now at 6-2, but y'all play in CUSA. It's yeah, but you still have to go out there and win every single day, no matter what. Um, so yeah, looking at the possibility of 9-3 is huge for us. And like I said earlier, I'm not letting anybody take away what a massive success this season has been up to this point.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, we firmly deserve everything that we've earned, and I'm hoping, we at least get a chance here in 2 weeks to really prove it to everyone.
Oh yeah. If we come away, never want to look past an opponent, but if we come away with a win this week and then at the very least make it a tight game, into the fourth quarter in South Carolina, I think we will finally start to gain a little bit of respect. Of course, it sucks that they're having the season that they're having because people will be like, yeah, but that's not the usual South Carolina. We're gonna hear that bull crap no matter how much we like it. But if we handle business this week and either come away with a win or make it a really close game, in 2 weeks, and then finish out the season with back-to-back wins, there's nothing you can do but show respect.
Yeah, no question.
And if you're a Gamecock fan, if that happens, especially if we finish 10-2, you brace for whoever on the coaching staff is leaving.
Yeah, and we've talked about it in the chat. Zach Alley would not be surprised if he lands a Power Five coaching gig as a defensive coordinator.
And it's
I,
not just us saying that either. I've seen Power Five fans that have said, I would love to have him on our coaching staff. A lot of people think what he's doing would translate, to Power Five schools and that level of competition.
yeah, and then to go even further,
Don't
um,
you dare!
we've seen some West Virginia fans starting to turn around on Rich Rod, and I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to say you like someone when they're winning games. But we ain't forgot what y'all have said about him. We know that y'all don't like him. Stop acting like you actually like him.
Yeah, seeing a couple of those guys, especially after the Western Kentucky win, looking in the comment section of Pat McAfee's video, I just saw a bunch of West Virginia fans. Just Pat, is there any way you can get him to come back to West Virginia, or just we need this guy back at West Virginia? He's legit and this and that. But I will never forget whenever we first announced him, just seeing all the comments under Jack State football posts, Jacksonville State athletics posts of fans of the various schools he coached at, just saying y'all won't be so happy, once y'all get to FBS because he's a fraud, this and that. And just to see that at least one of those fan bases is trying to walk it back and beg him to come back, it's funny.
It truly is rich. And we're going to remind you about that, West Virginia fans. Just letting you know, we will remind you every game that we win, and y'all say that you want them back. We've got the receipts of y'all saying that you hate them. Just remember that.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I mean, I'm gonna take Rich Rod at his word. I know both of us were at his introductory press conference. He said he's here for the long haul. He's not just here to make a statement during the transition in the first couple of years and leave. Um, I'm gonna take him at his word. Obviously, coaches say things, and then a little bit later they're gone. Looking at you, Nick Saban. Love you, but he said he's here for the long haul, and he at the time he wasn't necessarily looking to go back Power Five. So if all of that is true, then we have a long period of success ahead of us, which hopefully means putting some more trophies and rings in the trophy case, and taking a couple of postseason trips.
Yeah, maybe these trophies will be real trophies.
Hey, the last one was real too.
It
I
was. You
don't,
you ain't
I,
wrong.
I don't care what the Atlantic Sun says. The last trophy was real, and it was bigger than theirs, and we had rings, so they can say what they want. But that last trophy was real, and no matter what happens this year, I know there will be no petty trophies made. Um, if we get a bowl game, I know some teams do bowl rings. I'm not sure if Rich Rod would be one of those, but it, it'll be interesting to just see, how the rest of the season shakes out.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, I mean, other than that, this past weekend in college football was pretty exciting. For those of you who don't know, outside of being a JSU fan first, I am Roll Tide all day. Um, and talk about a second half and a team giving you a heart attack. Alabama in that first half just looked abysmal.
Yeah, and it you give credit to Josh Heupel because he knows how to scheme up some points. Um, but I'm sorry, Tennessee fans, y'all said all preseason that Joe Milton was going to be a Heisman winner. This dude ain't it.
Dog, I mean, so I think the main problem with the first half is Bama was playing a lot of three down defensive linemen, and there was just no pressure at all on Milton. And when he has all day, yeah, he's going to carve you up, and he's going to look like a Heisman winner. But then they finally switched to four down and threw some more blitzes in there, and he just absolutely collapsed.
Yeah, and it's not like Hendon Hooker who also runs in the 4.6s and can make you pay when you send blitzes. Joe Milton's a decent athlete, but he's not Hendon Hooker. Um, and on top of that, they don't have Cedric Tillman. They don't have Jalen Hyatt. Um, so yeah, so Jalen Hyatt can't terrorize Alabama fans anymore.
They do have Squirrel White, which dang, I don't ever want to give Tennessee credit, but that touchdown catch,
That's one of the best catches I've ever seen.
oh yeah, 100%. But I mean, I think that, and this is where I knew that Tennessee was going to lose, even when I lost faith a little bit. The second that Milton brought out the crane kick, I said, yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's game.
That's done and over with. You don't do that one until you know the game is over with. Starting off the game with that, yeah, no, that's
Oh man. Let's see what other games we did we have. We had
we had Washington barely hanging on by a thread with the help of the referees.
God rest you, Arizona State. You gave it your best.
And honestly, they won. The refs had that bogus call um, right before the pick six. Um, yeah, Washington. I as much as the Pac-12 is on their their farewell tour and tearing it up so far, I don't think Washington is going to be it for them.
No, I still think Oregon's the best team in the conference. Maybe Utah. Um, but
Definitely
for some
not
reason,
USC.
I think Oregon's the best team.
Yeah, 100%. 20th year starter Bo Nix has found some life on that team. And I know Auburn fans are kicking the ground, hoping and praying somehow they had been able to keep him, because we knew this is what he was capable of from the start. But of course, when you have incompetent coaches and incompetent offensive coordinators, you're not going to get the best out of your players. But he has definitely had a resurgence and looks absolutely amazing in that offense. And the Ducks are not a team you can easily overlook right now.
No, I mean Wazoo came into Oregon, and honestly, I thought they were going to put up a fight, and Oregon played like the top team in the conference. They did what they were supposed to. So
Yeah, that's for
um,
sure. And then,
I tell you what, we had one of the ugliest games in college football history. We had Mississippi State and Arkansas.
oh, that wasn't nearly as ugly as the 6-0 game. What was that? San Diego State, and I can't remember who else they were playing.
Yeah,
Six to 6-0.
yeah, this was a week for the sickos of college football.
Yeah. Obviously, everybody had been saying, San Diego State lost to Nevada 6-0. But obviously, everybody in college football this season has been saying how USC is a bunch of frauds, and this past week definitely proved that at least their defense is Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, Caleb Williams did what he had to do, and he put up a touchdown. Let me see. I can't remember exactly how much time was left on the clock. Let's see. He put up a touchdown with a minute 46 left to go. They were up 32-31. If they had gotten the 2-point conversion, it would have been 34-31, which would have been ideal for them. Minute 46, and then Bryson Barnes just came out there, and dude had that dog in him and just absolutely lit that defense up. At one point, there was like a 3rd and 24, and he had a 21-yard run to put them, closer to field goal range. And I mean, there was just nothing the defense could do to stop him, and then obviously they got the field goal to win it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this is, I don't know, 8 straight years that Lincoln Riley's defenses have been the reason they haven't been able to go all the way.
Yeah, something like
Um,
that, somewhere around there.
it's it almost is beautiful to watch a coach have such an easy way to fix his team and just refuse to do it, and so he gets what he's got coming to him.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people will say Caleb Williams has what he got coming for him too, because he jumped ship at Oklahoma to follow Lincoln Riley, and if he does what everybody predicts he'll do, he will finish his college career not winning a conference championship or making the playoffs, which is just insane for a Heisman winning quarterback and a quarterback of his ability.
I just I hate it for him because he's my namesake, but man, I can't stand it.
Yeah, I mean, if he had stayed at Oklahoma and played through the growing pains, he'd be sitting pretty right now. But sometimes you think the grass is greener on the other side, and as we saw from his very pained expression after the end of that game, it's not looking too green in Southern California.
No, it is not.
But I mean, other than that, college football, it giveth and it taketh, and this weekend was a very good iteration of that. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else.
I don't know that there is, to be honest.
I don't think so either. But yeah, I mean, Gamecocks are going to be in Miami this week, or not this weekend. I'm still getting used to the midweek, um, which surprisingly was pretty good as far as home attendance went. I know we had 21,000 for Liberty, 17,000 roughly for Western Kentucky. So big props to Gamecock fans. But we got one more midweek game. We're in Miami this week. And then a week and a half from now, the both of us, as well as our squad, we're rolling 11 deep in the Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, we're going to be leading the charge when it comes to belligerency, so y'all better be ready.
Yeah, 100%. We did not get our tickets early enough to be in the JSU section, so we just get to annoy whoever is sitting around us, whether they be JSU fans who join in on it or, pissing off South Carolina fans just for the heck of it.
Look, I'm just trying to make sure that no one gets thrown out. That's all that matters.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest thing. Luckily, they only sell beer and wine, so there's only so much that we can do before the game. And then how we perform on the field will determine if it's happy drinking or sad drinking after the game.
Man, look out. That's all I'm saying. Look out.
Look out indeed. Because when Rich Rod and the Gamecocks roll into town, it ain't guaranteed you coming away with a dub.
No, that's all bets off.
That being said, in Gamecock Nation, I know the softball team has played a couple of exhibition games. We're getting closer to softball season. It's about that time to see legendary Coach McGinnis take the field, which is newly named after her. Take the field with those ladies and absolutely tear it up in this new conference. We're getting ever so closer to basketball season, where we have two more legends on the hard court, Ray Harper and Coach Petrie. And baseball's also right around the corner. Can't remember the new coach's name, but ready to see what he can do.
It's going to be a good year for Gamecock sports, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And CUSA is a pretty solid conference in all the sports, it seems. So we got our work cut out for us. But I'm excited to see what we can do, walking up in there. I don't think we have any transition rules. I know we don't for baseball. For basketball. I don't think we do for baseball or softball.
I think it's just football because we were already considered to be at the top level for every other sport except football.
Yeah, I think football is the only one where you have subdivisions even amongst D1 schools. So we have, no transition rules, nothing holding us back in all of our other sports. And as we have seen, we have the ability to walk into a new conference and turn everything upside down. And I think we can continue that in all of our other sports this year and just put CUSA on notice across the board. Definitely looking forward. Definitely going to try and show up to at least some basketball games. Maybe it'll shake out to where, there's a doubleheader of basketball and baseball. I know we had a couple of those in years past, can catch both. But yeah, definitely want to try and get out and support some of our other sports. I'm just excited in general.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a great year. And I know you and I are going to hit up some basketball games and maybe even a couple baseball games. So we're going to be around.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But other than that, I think we're done for the week.
Yeah, I think so. Just y'all be ready to tune back in next week. Where hopefully we may potentially have a guest on the podcast. Working on that right now. But if not, we'll be we'll be here and ready to go. We'll be here and be ready to give you all the report for the game.
Yep. And as always, like we said earlier, Gamecock fans, if you're going to South Carolina, you got a week and a half. Get on over to Get Personalized. Well, actually, you got closer to 2 weeks right now. Get on over to Get Personalized. Get some of that ass kicking chicken merch. It looks really nice, and we got to show up and show out. When we're in Columbia, we all got to run deep together. So get over there, get some of your merch, and we'll repeat the sentiment again next week. But we'll see you there.
Indeed, indeed. Well, from the 700 Pelham Road podcast, it's Caleb and it's Jalen, and we are signing off.
See ya.